Hey, welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. I'm Perry Black, and on this show, Jerry Cox with Family Counsel. We're going to talk about recreational marijuana, medicinal marijuana, changing lives, writing faith into the Arkansas Constitution. So you don't want to miss this show. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. I'm your host, Perry Black, and on this show we have a very long-time special guest and friend of mine. I guess we're friends.
Oh,
we never have dinner together, do we?
But hey, you can invite me. I'll come.
We have been here at Family Church Bryant. We have been a supporter. The church is 32 years young, so I think we've been supporters for 32 years.
I've been doing family counsel for 33, so you got in on the ground floor.
Well, that's what you want to do.
Absolutely.
You know, you don't want to wait till the guys are bringing in the harvest to put your seed out there.
That is so true.
And you know, just be honest with our audience, we don't give thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars at a time, but I think over time we've given a little bit of money, huh?
Oh, I tell you what,
years.
$25, $50 a month over years, it adds up to real money. And so I love $25 a month donations. That's the best.
And what I look for, and I hope what our viewers are looking for, I look for people that are making a difference. I'm personally not in this for the accolades of man. I'm in this to make a difference because Jesus is still making a difference in my life. And I believe that's why people watch this show. And so we as a ministry, we're always looking for people to partner with us, but I have found the principle of what you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. So I try to find organizations and individuals that are trustworthy, character, honest, diligent, faithful, and have a track record. And you guys have a track record.
Well, by the grace of God, we do. And you know, none of us has a track record all by ourselves. We have to have a whole lot of help.
That's a fact.
I appreciate the support, Perry, that you guys have provided over the years. And that is multiplied over and over again in the good that we're able to do. God has given us certain fields to plow.
Yeah.
He's given you certain fields to plow.
Stay in your lane.
We do. We just plow away, and sometimes we plow new ground.
Yeah.
But it's following the leading of the Holy Spirit in everything that you do, and you'll be successful. And maybe not in the world's eyes, but in God's kingdom, you'll be very successful.
Yeah, and that's what I've learned. I don't take my directions from man. I take my directions from the Lord. And people ask me all the time, when are you going to do so and so? I said, as soon as the Lord tells me to.
Sure.
Not a day sooner.
Right.
I've tried that. And God still blesses you when you have a good heart, but you're really just kind of winging it on your own. But when you just find out what He wants done, He's pretty faithful.
Pretty faithful.
Pretty faithful. It's one way of putting it, isn't it? So tell me, Jerry, what's going on in Arkansas right now?
Well, people need to know about some stuff that's going to be on the ballot in November. As we're taping this right now, it appears that there's going to be a marijuana measure on the ballot. And people, I'm afraid, do not understand this thing. They may think, oh, what's it going to hurt? Let people do what they want to and all that. But that thing is thousands of words long, and it's an amendment to the Arkansas Constitution. And it writes the marijuana industry into our state constitution. And it has a lot of provisions in there that they set their own tax rate. They say the legislature can't regulate it. They don't set up any system much of control and regulation of the so-called recreational marijuana. It is so flawed that people really need to understand that.
Somebody must have written that while they were using recreational marijuana.
Well, you know who wrote it and who put it together? It was the marijuana growers.
There you go.
They spent a couple $1 million just to get to the ballot by hiring people to gather signatures to put it on the ballot. And so you let somebody like that write their own law, put them in the Constitution, give themselves their own tax rate, all of those things. It's scary what's about to happen with this. And let me give you an example. Earlier, you and I were talking about THC. I think if I'm pronouncing it right, it's tetrahydrocannabinol. And that is the ingredient in the marijuana plant that makes people high.
Yeah.
Well, this just doesn't legalize the marijuana plant. It legalizes anything you can extract from the plant, or anything you ever will be able to extract from the plant. So right now, 100% THC can be extracted out of the marijuana plant, put in gummy bears, chocolates, cookies, soft drinks, even alcoholic drinks. And they create all these concoctions. That amendment legalizes all that, and it puts it in the Constitution, and it says the legislature cannot regulate it. It specifically, explicitly says they can't regulate it. It says local communities can't zone it, can't zone the places.
My goodness.
It says that nobody can tax it in any way other than the way the owners wrote their own tax rate into the measure.
How did we get here? It all started out, decades ago, but we get to the place where we're going to do it medicinal marijuana. And now the camel's nose is under the tent.
We knew, you knew it, I knew it.
Yeah.
That medical marijuana measure was never about medicine. Marijuana is not regulated by the FDA. You don't get it in a pharmacy. You buy it from a store. There's no difference really between medical marijuana and just regular old marijuana. It's all the same.
But maybe some people are watching that are maybe my age, 35.
Oh, yeah.
And they remember back in the 60s and 70s, the marijuana that maybe they smoked when they were in high school or college. What's the difference between the marijuana then and marijuana today?
It's about like the difference between beer and moonshine.
Yeah.
That's about how much the strength of it has increased. And I say it this way, back in our day, the marijuana people were just smoking maybe 5% THC. Now, these edibles, 100% THC. And even some of the smoked marijuana is up about 25% THC. So it's 5 times stronger.
But Jerry, that's better than drinking, right?
Oh,
that's what they say.
Let's not get into that. Let's not get into that, because let me tell you, people say, oh, it's not any more harmful than alcohol. I thought, that doesn't make me feel very good, because alcohol has caused so much destruction.
Yeah, I come from an alcoholic home.
Well,
yeah.
and see, the science on marijuana is just emerging about all the harm it does to you physically, how it changes your brain, all the other things, not to mention just impaired driving and accidents and all those things. So there is so much wrong with this measure, people need to know.
Yeah. So we want you to think about this, because I'm sitting here listening to Jerry, and in my mind, you know what I'm thinking the whole time you're talking? Follow the money. And when you write a legislation that excludes the legislature in a country where it's supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people, follow the money. We're going to take a brief break. We'll be right back.
A mission field around you is filled with young hearts needing a forever family. And at Second Chance Youth Ranch, our team is committed to providing healthy, stable, loving homes and families to hurting children in the Arkansas foster care system and those up for adoption. Please contact us if you feel the tug at your heart to help foster or adopt, and find out the steps you could take to help fulfill a child's lifelong dream. Maybe you can't foster or adopt, but you could help. The need for thousands of children in the system is staggering. But with the help of faithful partners and business alliances, we are meeting those needs right now. Would you help us make a difference? Every gift, regardless of size, impacts a child's life directly and helps provide for a home in the gap right now. Visit the Second Chance Youth Ranch website at 2CYR.org to read more, watch the stories, and to make a contribution for a hurting child's care. Monthly partners are needed, so please contact us right away. And as you partner with this ministry, you are partnering with the Heavenly Father that has promised to be Father to the fatherless. God bless you for helping Second Chance Youth Ranch.
Hey, welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. I'm with Jerry Cox with Family Council. And if you were viewing during the first segment and perhaps just joining us, we were talking about what is on the ballot for this fall, 2022, recreational marijuana. It started out from many decades ago, people just smoking a joint, you know, not inhaling, of course. And then it became very recently medicinal marijuana. I don't think anybody's against something that would make relief for somebody with chemo, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But then all of a sudden now we've taken the leapfrog to recreational marijuana under this guise that this is the marijuana from the 60s and 70s. And this marijuana, this level of THC in the current marijuana, recreational, is creating psychosis and mental problems.
It is.
For people.
It is. And first of all, we have to think about what it does to kids. So a person brings home a bag of gummy bears that's laced with 100% THC, a bag of chocolates, some cookies. Even if you stick those on top of the refrigerator or way up in the cabinet, kids are going to find it.
Yeah, why gummy bears, Jerry? Why gummy bears?
Well, and see that you ask that question. That's a good one.
Same reason you have flavor vape.
Yeah, exactly. And so don't tell me that this is all going to be an adult thing, but it'll affect the kids and it'll affect families. And here's the other part of it, though. If you, as a grown-up, use this kind of marijuana on a regular basis for an extended period of time, here's what's fixing to happen to you. Number one, studies have shown you're going to lose about 8 points off your IQ. Now, I need all the points I can get.
Hello.
You're going to lose 8 points off your IQ. You're going to suffer memory problems as a young person. You're going to have memory issues. You may slip into schizophrenia. You may slip into paranoia. You will encounter permanent changes to the brain. And that is something that you're not ever going to get back. I could line up half a dozen psychiatrists who will show you the science. Yeah. And people say, well, what's that? They might say, what's that to me? If the guy down the street there wants to ruin his brain on marijuana, they may say, knock yourself out. It's a free country. Let people do what they want to. But you and I know you never do these things in a vacuum.
Never. No man lives and dies to himself.
And you don't abuse alcohol, opioids, marijuana, any of these other things in a vacuum. It affects, it hurts a whole circle of people around you. My dad never drank alcohol, but he was killed by a drunk driver.
Yeah.
Alcohol played a role in his death.
Yeah.
And don't tell me that you can go out here and use all the marijuana you want and you ain't going to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of ways that you can inflict harm. And I'd say shame on us as Christians if we turn a blind eye to that and look the other way while we open another way for people to destroy themselves and their family members. I'd say shame on us as Christians. Yeah. We are our brother's keeper, and we need to step up and we need to say no to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was watching a scientist this morning. I didn't even realize that we were going to talk about this on set, and I just happened to catch the segment before I left the house. And she said that the amount of THC in the recreational marijuana now, up to 100%, is creating psychosis, and it is creating an avenue to the next level of drug inducement.
It is.
Now, I'm from the 60s and 70s, so I know a little bit about marijuana.
Right.
Professionally speaking, I know a little bit about marijuana, but we're not talking about that marijuana. We're not talking about the marijuana. In my day, you had hash. I'm giving people information maybe they don't want to know. And you had marijuana, and hash was about 10 times stronger than marijuana. Now, I don't want to get into what hash is, but if you don't know, that's great. But it was 10 times stronger.
Right.
Marijuana today is many times stronger than the hash I'm talking about from the 70s.
That's correct.
So
that is correct.
You can't keep lying to yourself. You've got to eventually wake up and realize this stuff is destructive to our families, our children, their future, and our communities. That's a fact.
It is, and it's proven everywhere that they've made it legal for recreational purposes. And so this whole idea of let's people are going to use it anyway, so let's just tax it and get some benefit off of it.
Follow the money.
There's not going to be enough tax on this to even support the program.
Yeah.
Because they eliminated all the taxes on medical marijuana in this measure, and then they wrote their own tax rate for the recreational. Mm-hmm. Now, if you let a bunch of drug dealers write their own tax rate, Perry, what are you going to get?
You're not going to get much.
And so
it's going to tax the community, though.
Yeah.
So tell me, what else is happening in our environment down at the Capitol? Some other things that are coming up in November.
Well, first of all, there's a really good proposed constitutional amendment on the ballot. It's called the Religious Freedom Amendment.
Sounds good.
Oh, it's really good. And here's what it does. You know how in the U.S. Constitution we're guaranteed freedom of religion. Mm-hmm. And that's well and good, but then you open up the Arkansas Constitution, and it's like, we really don't have that much in the state constitution that guarantees us religious freedom. Now, let me tell you why that's important. You know, in this Dobbs decision on abortion, the U.S. Supreme Court said, you know what? This is not a federal matter anymore. This is a state matter. And whatever state law says about abortion, that's what it'll be.
Wow.
So you open up our Constitution, guess what? We got a good pro-life amendment. Amendment 68, it says we'll protect every unborn child from conception to birth. Okay, matter closed. If they ever did that with religious freedom and said we're going to let the states decide on religious freedom, you open our Constitution up, it's pretty silent.
So now you're in for the fight.
Yeah. So let's write the same religious freedom into our state constitution that we have in the federal.
Because I think, now I didn't pay as much attention to class that I should have, but I'm pretty sure we have 50 laboratories on how this is supposed to work.
Absolutely.
And we're supposed to be a country really founded in those 50 laboratories, mm-hmm. the states, mm-hmm. not the federal government.
We are the United States.
There you go.
We are the United States, and every state makes its laws about different things. And they make them the way the people of that state want it to be done. So Arkansas is a good faith-based state. I mean, we got lots of good Christian people everywhere in Arkansas. And so this is a good opportunity for our Constitution to reflect the heart, the good heart of our people.
Yeah. Well, let's see, we have covered how to get our faith written into our rights to mm-hmm. faith, mm-hmm. written into our state constitution. Mm-hmm. We've covered the medical and recreational marijuana. Don't go away. We're going to talk about some more stuff here in just a moment. We'll be right back.
My name is Trayden, and I am 12 years old. I like football, going outside. Sometimes I like swimming. I have a lot of new friends. I really don't even like school, but I still do my best there. And my favorite subject, which is PE, and that's what I have for fourth period. I want to be an NFL player when I grow up. I want to play for the Baltimore Ravens because of my favorite person on their team, which is the quarterback, Lamar Jackson. If I had $1 million, I would donate it for orphanage or lots of charity centers. If I could visit anywhere in the world, I would want to visit Texas. If I had one wish, I would wish for it to go back with my brothers and sisters.
You want to be adopted?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me why?
So I could have a family to spend time with, an athletic family and one that lives in the country. I want a family that'll come to my football games, play with me, go out to eat, and just have fun.
Hey, welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. As you're well aware, our special guest is Jerry Cox with Family Counsel. Long time, 30 plus years, this ministry and minister has been a support of Family Counsel. And we are thankful for people in the trenches. And Jerry, it's time for people in the pew to get in the trenches.
Boy, you said it. You said it. The greatest impediment to us bringing in more godliness into government and all that, it's not the ACLU.
Yeah.
It ain't Planned Parenthood. It's not the liberal left.
It's apathy.
In the pew.
I think that's why they call them pew.
It really is.
I grew up watching Pepe Le Pew.
Me too.
He is a stinker.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that we get any points for showing up if we don't grow up and reach out. Jerry, I'm holding in my hand 2 sets of blueprints here. One is the foster home that we're currently building, framing.
I saw that,
The carpenters are framing it as I speak right now.
Great.
That's in Benton. That's for 6 more foster children. And then this is a set of blueprints that we're building. The foundation's ready to go. My plumber is supposed to be here this week to start plumbing. This is a girls' home for girls that are pregnant out of wedlock, because people keep saying these lies, misrepresenting. You know, you Christians, y'all just want to save lives. If you don't help the girls once the babies are born, that's just not true.
It's not true.
Is that true at Family Counsel?
It's not true.
At our future foundation?
No,
absolutely not.
No, we are all stepping up. But here's what I wish would happen. I wish not only the man in the pew and woman in the pew would rise up and get out there and vote right on these moral issues that are on the ballot, but I wish the men and women that are in leadership in our churches would step it up.
Can we use the term leadership if they don't?
Well, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a burden there. You know, people may say, well, I'm afraid the IRS is going to get me, you know, if I get out here and I speak up on these issues, or, well, it's just controversial in our church and it makes people uncomfortable.
Jerry, I don't want to go to church and hear about politics. Do you ever hear that?
Well, yes.
I hear it.
But I want to hear about morality.
Oh, no way.
Oh, yes.
The works of the flesh
and let me
are
tell
these?
Let me tell you, the political world has infringed on church territory when they come out here and they say, well, you ought to be able to abort babies, and you people shouldn't have religious freedom to preach the way you want to, and you know, on and on. It's like, well, wait a minute now, you're in my territory now, and I got a right to speak about this. You may not want to go out and campaign for a certain candidate. I get that. But if there are moral issues on the ballot, then you better speak up on it and better have a position on it, because it will affect the lives of every person in your church, every person in your community, every person in our state.
Yep. You know, Jerry, I just saw last week where a gentleman was reading his Bible on the streets in Washington State, and it created a commotion because people didn't want to hear what he was reading. He wasn't screaming, hollering, being belligerent.
Yeah.
And the police came and arrested him for reading his Bible.
Yeah. Well, and imagine just carrying that a little farther, where the police say, Pastor Black, we don't like what you're preaching.
Well, a lot of people say that.
And in fact, we're gonna make it illegal for you to preach what you've been preaching.
Well, let me tell you, we're going to have revival in jail then.
Well, and see, isn't that the same story that's been out there for 2,000 years?
Yeah.
Where the evil one has tried to silence the good.
Yeah.
And see, we live in a country now where if we're not careful, we're going to lose those rights to be able to speak as we think the Lord wants us to speak. And so I would say to every person in this state, you need to wake up and look around. And if you are standing in a pulpit, I believe you have an obligation to say something about these things going on.
I think what's happened, our churches and some of our ministers are more concerned with filling chairs than they are with changing hearts.
Right.
I don't go to hardly any conferences. I'm so busy doing the work of God, I don't really take the time to go tell everybody what I'm doing for God. But as we're studying the book of Acts in our church right now, we're in Acts 21 and 22 this week. And it seems to me like this guy that we all revere named the Apostle Paul, everywhere he
Right.
went, they just beat the living daylights out of the guy.
Either people got saved or they were ready to beat him up. One
Some
or the
people
other.
got saved, some people got happy, some people got healed, and the more that got healed and got saved made more people mad. So, Jesus said something I have to paraphrase, be wary when all men speak well of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I say in the words of that old country singer, let's give them something to talk about.
Absolutely. Well, a pastor friend of mine many years ago felt led to preach a powerful sermon on Sunday morning about abortion.
Oh.
And some people said, don't do that. We got people in the church that have had abortions. It's going to make people uncomfortable. And you know what? He preached it. He went ahead and preached it. Mm-hmm. And he said after that, there was a stream of people that came to him for counseling and said, I have lived with this guilt for 20 years. I want to be free.
Oh, a God of second chances.
Absolutely. And the truth will set you free.
Yeah, but as you said about law enforcement maybe coming to our churches, that's happening in Canada, it's happening around the world, it's happening in the UK. Mm-hmm. And the reality is, we're going to stand before God and give an account.
Absolutely.
Paul said, preach the gospel, preach the word, be instant, in season or out of season. Right now it's out of season.
That's correct.
But Jesus still saves.
But see, that's why I think the work that we do at Family Council is really important. Yeah. Because what I try my best to do, Perry, is I take the values of the Bible, Sunday morning church, and we carry those values into the halls of government, right down at the state capitol in Little Rock. And we do our best to fight the bad and promote the good. And the good pro-life laws that we enjoy right now are the fruit of not just our work, but many hundreds of people, lots of everybody pulling together and creating a culture of life. Arkansas is the most pro-life state in the country. That's the rankings.
Been a long time coming.
Absolutely.
We made it, didn't we?
If the Hogs were number one in the country, we'd all be flying Razorback flags or whatever. Yeah. But we are. We're ranked the most pro-life place in the nation. And that was not by accident. It was because Christians got up out of the pew and said, I'm going to start a pregnancy center. Yep. I'm going to go to the Capitol. We're going to pass some laws. I'm going to donate some money. I'm going to give of my talent. I'm going to pitch in. Or preachers that stood in the pulpit and said, I'm going to preach a sermon on abortion. It's all of us.
It's all of us working together. I think it was President Reagan, and he was probably quoting somebody else. He said, it's amazing what can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit.
Absolutely.
Working together, teamwork makes the dream work. Mm-hmm. Together, everyone achieves more. Thanks for watching this show. Support Family Council. Get involved. Elections have consequences. Vote. I'll see you next time right here at Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Bye-bye.